Valkyra pressed her hand against the wound in her side and watched her blood float away in small purple droplets. The artificial gravity had failed an hour ago. The engines had died 30 minutes after that. Now she drifted through the void in a metal coffin, and 3 ships followed close behind. The communication screen crackled with static before a familiar voice broke through. Gorthal the Kreth had been chasing her for 6 standard months across 9 star systems. His voice was calm and patient like a predator who knew his prey could not escape. Valkyra of the Nethkai, he said, your ship is dead. Your weapons are gone. You have no allies and no hope. Surrender now and I promise your death will be quick. The hegemony wants you alive, but accidents happen during capture. I can be merciful. She did not answer. Her fingers moved across the navigation console, pulling up star charts with trembling hands. The pain in her side made it hard to think, but she needed to think now more than ever. 6 months of running, 6 months of watching friends die, 6 months of carrying secrets that powerful people wanted buried forever. The Hegemony Corporation controlled half the galaxy's pharmaceutical trade. They owned governments. They owned armies. They owned the laws themselves. And Valkyra had stolen proof of their darkest secret: genetic experiments on living beings, thousands of test subjects taken from primitive worlds, experimented upon, and discarded like broken tools. She had worked in their laboratories for 15 years before she discovered the truth. Now she carried that truth in encrypted files aboard her dying ship. You cannot run forever, Gorthal continued. My employers have unlimited resources. Every bounty hunter in the sector knows your face. Every port is closed to you. Every friend you had is either dead or too afraid to help. This chase ends today, scientist. Accept it. Valkyra looked at the star chart and saw something that made her heart beat faster. A border, a line that every pilot in the galaxy knew and feared. The human exclusion zone. Humans had arrived on the galactic stage only 2 centuries ago. They came from a world so hostile that most species could not survive there for a single day. High gravity, extreme temperatures, deadly predators, toxic atmosphere. The universe had spent millions of years trying to kill humanity, and humanity had refused to die. When they finally reached the stars, they brought that stubborn survival instinct with them. The major powers had tried to exploit them at first. They saw humans as primitives with interesting technology and valuable resources. They sent diplomats to make unfair treaties. They sent merchants to steal human innovations. They sent spies to learn human weaknesses. Some even sent soldiers to take what they wanted by force. None of them came back. Humanity learned quickly that the galaxy would not treat them fairly, so they drew a line around their territory and made a simple promise. Anyone who crossed that line with hostile intent would be destroyed. No negotiations, no warnings, no mercy. For 200 years, they had kept that promise without exception. The distance to the human border was 40,000 kilometers. Valkyra's ship was drifting at 1,200 kilometers per hour. At this speed, she would cross the line in just over 30 minutes, if she survived that long. I see your course, Gorthal said. His voice held something new now: concern. You are heading toward human space. Turn away, Valkyra. The humans are worse than anything the hegemony will do to you. They are monsters, predators. They eat the flesh of other beings. They torture prisoners for entertainment. Their world is a death trap, and they became death themselves to survive it. Valkyra laughed, and the movement sent fresh pain through her wound. Then I will die to monsters instead of dying to you. At least the humans will kill me quickly. You do not understand. Gorthal's voice was urgent now. I have seen what happens to those who enter human space uninvited. At Kelvin's Reach, a pirate fleet of 200 ships ignored the human border. They thought they could raid a colony and escape before the humans could respond. The humans responded in 9 minutes. 9 minutes and 200 ships became dust and debris. No survivors, no prisoners, nothing but atoms scattered across the void. 20,000 kilometers to the border now. Valkyra could see Gorthal's 3 ships on her sensors. They were faster than her crippled vessel. They could catch her before she crossed the line, but they were slowing down. Gorthal, said a new voice on the communication channel. It was younger, more aggressive, one of the other bounty hunters. She is getting away. We can catch her before she reaches the border. Push the engines harder. No, Gorthal replied. The bounty is worth 50 million credits. 50 million. We are not going to lose it because you are afraid of some human stories. Those stories are not stories. They are history, and I will not cross that line for 50 million credits or 50 billion. Turn back, Keth. Turn back now or die alone. Valkyra watched on her sensors as the three ships stopped their approach. They held position exactly 1,000 kilometers from the human border. She had never seen bounty hunters show fear before. These were beings who hunted criminals across war zones and death worlds. They faced dangers every day that would break ordinary people. And they were afraid of humans. 15,000 kilometers. Her vision was starting to blur from blood loss. The ship's medical supplies had been destroyed in the last attack. She had packed the wound with emergency sealant, but it was not enough. She would bleed out in the next hour if she did not receive proper treatment. Last chance, Valkyra, Gorthal said. Surrender to me and live. Cross that border and the humans will do things to you that I cannot imagine. They are not civilized. They are not reasonable. They are death world survivors who see the entire universe as a threat. You will be interrogated, tortured, and executed. Your body will never be returned to your family. 10,000 kilometers. Valkyra managed to pull herself into the pilot seat and strap in. The ship was tumbling slowly now, spinning end over end, as it drifted toward the invisible line that divided civilized space from human territory. I would rather die free than live as a prisoner, she said. I would rather trust monsters than trust the hegemony. And I would rather burn in human fire than let you take what I carry back to the people who murdered thousands of innocents. Gorthal was silent for a long moment. When he spoke again, his voice was almost gentle. Then go, Valkyra of the Nethkai. Go to the humans. I will wait here at the border. If by some miracle you survive and return, I will be waiting. The bounty never expires. 5,000 kilometers. Warning lights flashed across her console. Human automated systems had detected her approach. A message played on all frequencies, translated into 100 different languages. Attention, unidentified vessel. You are approaching human sovereign territory. State your intentions immediately. Hostile incursion will be met with lethal force. You have been warned. Valkyra tried to respond, but her communication system had finally died. She could receive messages but not send them. The humans would see a silent ship drifting across their border and assume the worst. She would be destroyed before she could explain herself. 1,000 kilometers. Her ship crossed the line. Nothing happened. She waited for the weapons fire. She waited for the missiles. She waited for the human death machines to tear her ship apart like they had done at Kelvin's Reach. But the void remained silent and dark. 5 minutes passed, then 10, then 30. Valkyra's consciousness began to fade. The blood loss was too severe. Her body was shutting down. The last thing she saw before darkness took her was a shape on her sensors. A human ship approaching fast. It was not firing. It was not attacking. It was coming to get her. Far behind, at the border of human space, Gorthal watched on long-range sensors as the human vessel intercepted the drifting ship. He expected to see weapons fire. He expected to see the Nethkai scientists blasted into atoms. Instead, he saw the human ship match course with her vessel and extend some kind of docking connection. They were boarding her ship. They were taking her alive. What are they doing? Keth asked. Why did they not destroy her? Gorthal did not answer. In 60 years of hunting bounties across the galaxy, he had never seen humans show mercy to anyone who entered their space. Every story, every report, every piece of intelligence said that humans killed first and never bothered with questions. But now he was watching them rescue a dying alien from a crippled ship. Perhaps the stories were wrong. Or perhaps the humans had something worse than death planned for Valkyra. Either way, the bounty was beyond his reach now. No amount of money was worth crossing that border. We return to port, he said finally. I will contact the hegemony and inform them of the situation. They can file a formal extradition request if they want her back. The humans will never hand her over, Keth protested. Then the humans will keep her. But I will not die trying to take her from them. I am a bounty hunter, not a fool. Gorthal turned his ship away from human space and engaged his faster-than-light drive. In seconds he was gone, leaving only empty void behind. Inside the human border, aboard the patrol vessel Careful Mercy, a medical team worked frantically to save the life of an alien they had never seen before. Her species was not in their databases, her language was unknown, her biology was a mystery, but she was injured and helpless, and that was enough. Captain Elena Vasquez watched the doctors work and wondered what story this strange visitor would tell when she woke up. Refugees did not often come to human space. Most aliens were too afraid. The galaxy had spread terrible rumors about humanity for 200 years, and humans had done nothing to correct them. Fear was a useful defense. Fear kept enemies away. But this one had come anyway. This one had chosen human monsters over whatever waited behind her. That meant she was either very desperate or very brave. Perhaps both. "Keep her alive," Vasquez ordered. "I want to know why she came here. I want to know what she's running from." The doctors nodded and continued their work. Outside the ship, the stars burned cold and bright. Somewhere beyond the border, bounty hunters waited and corporations schemed, and the galaxy continued its endless dance of power and greed. But inside human space, one wounded alien had found something she never expected. She had found safety. Valkyra woke to the smell of clean air and the soft hum of machinery. Her first thought was that she had died. Her second thought was that death should not hurt this much. Her side throbbed with a deep ache that told her someone had operated on her wound. She was lying on a soft surface in a bright room. Medical equipment surrounded her bed, displaying information in a language she could not read. She tried to sit up and immediately regretted it. Pain shot through her body and she fell back against the pillow with a gasp. Footsteps approached. A figure appeared beside her bed. It was tall and broad, covered in strange brown skin with no scales or feathers. Two forward-facing eyes looked down at her with an expression she could not interpret. A human. She was looking at a human. Every instinct in her body screamed at her to run. She had grown up hearing stories about these creatures. They were predators from a world of endless violence. They hunted their own kind for sport. They consumed the flesh of other beings. They felt no mercy and knew no fear. The galaxy's most successful species had learned to avoid them at all costs. But she could not run. She could barely move. She was trapped in the lair of monsters with no weapons and no hope. "You are awake," the human said. Its voice was deep but not threatening. "Good. You lost a lot of blood. We were not sure you would survive." Valkyra stared at the creature without speaking. She was waiting for the torture to begin. She was waiting for the questions and the pain and the slow death that humans supposedly inflicted on their captives. "My name is Elena Vasquez," the human continued. "I am the captain of this vessel, the Careful Mercy. You crossed into human space approximately 14 hours ago. Your ship was damaged and you were dying. We brought you aboard and our doctor saved your life." "Why?" Valkyra managed to whisper. Her throat was dry and her voice was weak. The human tilted its head slightly. "Why did we save you? Because you needed help. Is that not reason enough? Humans do not help aliens. Humans kill aliens. Everyone knows this." Captain Vasquez made a sound that might have been laughter. "Everyone knows many things about humans. Most of them are wrong. We kill those who threaten us. We destroy those who attack our people. But you did not threaten us. You were a wounded refugee drifting into our territory. Why would we kill you?" Valkyra did not have an answer. Everything she had learned about humans said they were violent and cruel. But this human had saved her life instead of ending it. The contradiction made her head hurt almost as much as her wound. "Your ship is being repaired," Vasquez said. "Our engineers managed to restore life support and basic navigation. The engines will take more time, but you will be able to leave whenever you wish." "Leave?" Valkyra could not believe what she was hearing. "You are letting me go? We are not jailers. You came to human space, and we have given you aid. When you are healthy enough to travel, you may continue on your way. Unless you wish to stay, human space offers protection to those who seek it honestly." Valkyra lay in silence for a long moment. She thought about Gorthal waiting at the border. She thought about the Hegemony Corporation with its unlimited resources and its army of hunters. She thought about the encrypted files in her ship, the evidence of crimes that powerful people would kill to bury. The hegemony will come for me, she said finally. They will not let me go. They will send diplomats and lawyers and demand that you hand me over. They control half the galaxy's trade. They can make life very difficult for anyone who opposes them. Vasquez nodded slowly. Tell me why they want you. Tell me what you carry that is worth chasing you across 9 star systems. So Valkyra told her story. She spoke about her work as a genetic researcher for the Hegemony Corporation. She described the laboratories hidden on remote moons where terrible experiments were conducted far from any oversight. She explained how she had discovered the truth about the test subjects. They were not volunteers or criminals as she had been told. They were kidnapped from primitive worlds, taken from their families and communities, and used like laboratory animals. Thousands of them, beings with names and lives, and people who loved them, reduced to data points and biological samples. When she discovered the truth, she had done the only thing she could. She copied every file she could find, encrypted them in her personal systems, and ran. She ran because she knew that the hegemony would kill her to protect their secrets. She ran because staying silent would make her complicit in murder. She ran because some things were worth dying for. Captain Vasquez listened without interrupting. Her expression remained neutral throughout the story, but something in her eyes changed. Valkyra had seen enough predators in her life to recognize when one was becoming angry, but this anger was not directed at her. These experiments, Vasquez said when Valkyra finished. You have proof? The files are on my ship, encrypted with a key that only I possess. Everything is there. Names of victims, locations of facilities, communications between executives discussing how to dispose of failed subjects. Everything the galaxy would need to bring the hegemony to justice. And these test subjects, what species were they? Valkyra hesitated. Many species. Whoever was convenient. Whoever would not be missed. She paused. Some of them were human. The room seemed to grow colder. Vasquez's eyes hardened into something that made Valkyra's survival instincts scream again. But still, the anger was not directed at her. Human colonists disappeared from the outer territories 15 years ago, Vasquez said quietly. 3 settlements, over 2,000 people. We searched for years but found nothing. The official conclusion was pirate raids. But we never found evidence of pirates. We never found bodies. We never found answers. I do not know if they were your missing colonists, Valkyra said. But I know that humans were among the test subjects. I saw the files. I saw the images. I am sorry. Vasquez was silent for a long time. When she spoke again, her voice was controlled but tight. Your evidence will need to be examined. If what you say is true, the Hegemony Corporation has committed crimes against human citizens. That changes things significantly. What do you mean? I mean that you are no longer just a refugee. You are a witness, a whistleblower. Under human law, you are entitled to protection, and your evidence is entitled to a fair hearing. The hegemony can file all the extradition requests they want. We will not hand over someone who exposed crimes against our people. Valkyra felt tears forming in her eyes. She had spent 6 months running, 6 months believing that she would die alone with her secrets. Now a human, one of the monsters she had feared all her life, was offering her exactly what she needed. Protection, justice, a chance to make the hegemony pay for what they had done. Why? She asked again. Why help me? I am nothing to you. I am just an alien with a wounded body and a damaged ship. The hegemony will make you suffer for protecting me. They will cut off trade. They will turn other species against you. They will make you regret this decision. Vasquez smiled, and it was not the smile of a predator. It was the smile of someone who had made peace with difficult choices a long time ago. Let them try. Humanity has faced threats before. We have faced extinction before. We survived a world that tried to kill us every single day for millions of years. We will survive the Hegemony Corporation. She leaned closer to Valkyra's bed. You want to know why we help you? Because we remember what it was like to be alone. When humanity first reached the stars, the galaxy saw us as primitives to be exploited. They tried to take our resources. They tried to steal our technology. They tried to enslave our people. No one helped us. No one offered protection. We had to fight for everything we have. She straightened up and looked toward the window where stars burned in the endless dark. We built walls around our territory because we had no choice. We became the monsters that the galaxy fears because that was the only way to survive. But we never forgot what we truly are. We are survivors. We are protectors. We are the people who help the helpless because we remember being helpless ourselves. Valkyra wiped the tears from her face with a trembling hand. The galaxy is wrong about you. The galaxy sees what we want them to see. Fear is a weapon. Reputation is armor. If every species in the galaxy believes that we are mindless killers, then fewer species will try to test us. We let the rumors spread because they keep our people safe. But you are not mindless killers. No, we are very thoughtful killers. We only destroy those who deserve it. Vasquez turned back to face Valkyra. Rest now. Recover your strength. In a few days, when you are able to travel, we will take you to Station Meridian. That is where your evidence will be examined. That is where you will have your hearing. And if the hegemony sends ships, if they try to take me by force, Vasquez's smile returned, but this time it held an edge of something dangerous. Then they will learn why the galaxy fears us. Sleep well, Valkyra of the Nethkai. You are safe now. I give you my word. She left the medical bay, and Valkyra was alone with her thoughts. She stared at the ceiling for a long time, trying to process everything that had happened. 6 months ago, she had been a loyal corporate scientist with a comfortable life and no idea about the horrors her employers were committing. Now she was lying in a human ship, surrounded by creatures she had been taught to fear, and feeling safer than she had felt in years. The galaxy was full of lies. The hegemony had lied about their experiments. The major powers had lied about humanity. Perhaps everyone lied about everything. And the only way to find truth was to look past the stories and see reality for yourself. Reality was that humans had saved her life. Reality was that humans were offering her protection. Reality was that the monsters were not monsters at all. Outside the ship, at the edge of human space, a new vessel arrived. It was sleek and diplomatic, carrying the markings of the Hegemony Corporation. A formal communication was broadcast on official channels, demanding to speak with human authorities about the extradition of a corporate fugitive. The game was about to change, but Valkyra did not know that yet. She was already asleep, dreaming of justice for the first time in months. Far away in a hegemony boardroom, executives discussed their options. The refugee had reached human space. That was an inconvenience. But surely the humans could be reasoned with. Surely they could be bribed or threatened or persuaded. Every species had a price. Every government could be bought. They had never dealt with humans before. They did not understand what they were facing. They would learn. Station Meridian hung in the void like a city made of light and metal. It was massive beyond anything Valkyra had ever seen. Millions of tons of steel and glass and technology, spinning slowly against the backdrop of a blue gas giant. This was humanity's gateway to the galaxy. This was where aliens came to trade, negotiate, and learn that humans were not the mindless killers that rumors suggested. Valkyra stood at the window of her quarters and watched transport ships coming and going. Dozens of species were represented here. She saw Kreth traders and Valorian diplomats and beings from worlds she could not name. They moved through human space without fear because they had come with honest intentions. They had come to do business, not to threaten. A knock at her door interrupted her thoughts. Captain Vasquez entered with 2 human guards. "It is time. The tribunal is ready to hear your case." Valkyra followed them through corridors that seemed to stretch forever. Humans walked past in every direction. Some wore uniforms like Vasquez. Others wore civilian clothing in colors and patterns that hurt her eyes. They all looked at her with curiosity but not hostility. She was an alien in their territory, and they treated her like a guest instead of a prisoner. The tribunal chamber was a large circular room with seats arranged in rising tiers. Hundreds of humans had gathered to watch the proceedings. At the center of the room stood a raised platform with 3 chairs. 2 were already occupied by human officials. The third held an alien that Valkyra recognized immediately. Dreth of the Valorian species. Senior diplomat for the Hegemony Corporation. She had seen his face in corporate communications for years. He was known for his smooth voice and his ability to make any lie sound like truth. The hegemony had sent their best negotiator to retrieve her. A door opened at the top of the chamber, and an elderly human woman walked in. She moved slowly but with absolute authority. Every human in the room stood as she entered. She wore a simple gray uniform decorated with more medals than Valkyra could count. "Admiral Chen," Vasquez whispered. "She is the highest authority in this sector. Her word is law here." Admiral Chen took her seat at the center of the platform and looked down at the gathering. Her eyes were sharp despite her age. Her face showed no emotion. When she spoke, her voice carried through the chamber without amplification. "This tribunal is now in session. We are here to determine the status of Valkyra of the Nethkai species, currently a refugee in human territory. The Hegemony Corporation has filed an extradition request. Both parties will present their cases. I will render judgment." Dreth rose smoothly from his seat. His scales gleamed under the chamber lights. His smile was warm and friendly and completely false. Valkyra had seen that smile before, usually right before someone's career was destroyed. "Honored Admiral," Dreth began, "thank you for this opportunity to address this unfortunate situation. The Hegemony Corporation has always valued its relationship with humanity. We seek only to resolve a simple matter of corporate law." He turned to gesture at Valkyra. "This individual was employed by our corporation for 15 years. She signed binding contracts. She agreed to confidentiality terms. She had access to valuable proprietary information. And then 6 months ago, she violated every agreement she had made. She stole corporate data. She fled our jurisdiction. She is quite simply a thief and a contract breaker." He spread his hands in a gesture of reasonableness. "We do not seek harsh punishment. We only seek the return of our property and the enforcement of legitimate contracts. Under interstellar commerce law, humanity is obligated to honor extradition requests for corporate criminals. We ask only that you follow the law." Admiral Chen's expression did not change. "The corporation's position is noted. Valkyra of the Nethkai, you will now present your defense." Valkyra stepped forward on shaking legs. She had never spoken in front of so many beings before. She had never faced someone like Dreth in open debate. But she thought of the test subjects in those hidden laboratories. She thought of the humans who had disappeared from their colonies. She thought of thousands of innocent lives destroyed for profit. "I did steal data," she admitted. "I did break my contracts. I did run. Everything the hegemony says about my actions is true." Murmurs spread through the chamber. Dreth's smile widened. "But," Valkyra continued, "I had reasons. I stole data because that data contained evidence of terrible crimes. I broke my contracts because those contracts required me to stay silent about murder. I ran because the alternative was to become complicit in evil." She looked directly at Admiral Chen. "The Hegemony Corporation operates secret laboratories on hidden facilities throughout the galaxy. In those laboratories, they conduct genetic experiments on living beings. Not volunteers, not criminals. Innocent people kidnapped from their homes and families. Thousands of them over the past 20 years. Used like animals. Disposed of when they stop being useful." "These are serious accusations," Admiral Chen said. "Do you have proof?" "I have complete files stored on my ship. Names of victims, locations of facilities, internal communications between hegemony executives, records of experiments, records of deaths, everything." Dreth laughed softly. "Forgive me, Admiral, but this is obviously a desperate attempt to avoid responsibility. The accused has every reason to fabricate evidence. The Hegemony Corporation is one of the most respected institutions in the galaxy. We have operated legally for over 300 years. The idea that we would engage in kidnapping and murder is absurd." Admiral Chen turned to an aide standing nearby. "Has the claimed evidence been recovered and examined?" "Yes, Admiral. Our technical team spent the past 3 days decrypting and analyzing the files from the accused's vessel. The data is authentic. Timestamps and encryption signatures confirm that it originated from hegemony internal systems. We have verified over 40,000 individual records." The murmurs in the chamber grew louder. Dreth's smile faltered slightly. "Furthermore," the aide continued, "the evidence confirms crimes against human citizens. Genetic profiles in the database match DNA records from colonists who disappeared from the outer territories 15 years ago. We have identified at least 200 human victims among the test subjects. The chamber went silent. Admiral Chen's expression finally changed. It became cold, dangerous. The look of a predator who had just identified prey. 200 humans, she said quietly, taken from their homes, experimented upon, murdered. Dreth tried to recover. Admiral, please. These files must have been fabricated. The accused is a geneticist. She would know how to create convincing false evidence. The Hegemony Corporation has never harmed human citizens. We would never risk our relationship with humanity over illegal experiments. The evidence has been verified by our best technicians, Admiral Chen replied. They found no signs of fabrication. They found complete chains of custody for the data. They found internal communications discussing how to avoid discovery by human authorities. She leaned forward in her seat. Tell me, Diplomat Dreth, if your corporation is innocent, why are there records of executives discussing how to hide their activities from us? Dreth opened his mouth to respond, but no words came out. For the first time since Valkyra had known him, he seemed genuinely afraid. The Hegemony Corporation has committed crimes against humanity, Admiral Chen declared. Not just against Valkyra's species or any other alien race, against human beings, our people, our citizens. She stood slowly from her chair. Every human in the chamber stood with her. Under human law, Valkyra of the Nethkai is not a criminal. She is a whistleblower who exposed atrocities. She will receive full protection and legal status within human territory. Her evidence will be preserved and used in further proceedings. Dreth finally found his voice. Admiral, please, let us discuss this privately. The Hegemony is willing to offer compensation, substantial compensation. We can negotiate terms that benefit both parties. There is no need for this to become a diplomatic incident. You are offering us money? Admiral Chen's voice was ice. You kidnapped our people. You tortured them. You killed them. And you think you can buy our forgiveness? Everything can be negotiated. Every government has a price. Let us find yours. Admiral Chen walked down from the platform. She moved through the crowd until she stood directly in front of Dreth. She was shorter than him by at least a foot, but somehow she seemed to tower over the Valorian diplomat. Humanity does not sell its people, she said. We do not negotiate over the bodies of our dead. We do not have a price. She turned to the guard standing nearby. Escort Diplomat Dreth to his vessel. He will leave human space immediately. He will tell his employers that their extradition request is denied. He will also tell them that humanity is now aware of their crimes. Dreth was led away. He tried to protest, but the guards ignored him. Valkyra watched him go and felt something she had not felt in 6 months. Hope. Admiral Chen returned to her platform. This tribunal is concluded. Valkyra of the Nethkai, you are free to remain in human space for as long as you wish. You will be given quarters on this station and access to resources for your needs. In exchange, we ask that you cooperate with our investigators as we learn more about the Hegemony's activities. Thank you, Valkyra whispered. Thank you. The Admiral nodded slightly. Thank yourself. You risked everything to expose evil. That takes courage. Humanity respects courage. The crowd began to disperse. Captain Vasquez appeared at Valkyra's side with a gentle smile. Come, I will show you to your new quarters. You have earned some rest. As they walked through the station corridors, Valkyra noticed that humans were looking at her differently now. Before they had been curious. Now they seemed almost grateful. Word had spread quickly. She was the one who had found their missing people. She was the one who had given them answers after 15 years of uncertainty. What happens now? She asked. Vasquez's smile faded slightly. Now the Hegemony will have to make a choice. They can apologize and pay restitution, which would destroy their reputation but might avoid war. Or they can deny everything and hope that the galaxy believes them over us. And if they choose neither? If they try to silence the evidence by force? Vasquez looked at her with something almost like anticipation. Then they will learn what happens to those who hurt our people. They will learn why the galaxy fears us. They will learn that human mercy has limits. Outside the station, Dreth's diplomatic vessel was already heading for the border. He had failed to retrieve the fugitive. He had failed to suppress the evidence. Now he had to return to his masters and explain how everything had gone wrong. He did not look forward to that conversation. But somewhere in the hegemony's vast corporate structure, executives were already planning their next move. They had too much to lose. They had too many secrets to protect. If diplomacy would not work, then perhaps other methods would. They began mobilizing their security forces. They began calculating how many ships it would take to make humanity back down. They had no idea what they were starting. The hegemony fleet arrived 1 week after the tribunal. 50 warships emerged from faster-than-light travel at the edge of human space. They were the best vessels that corporate money could buy. Heavy armor, advanced weapons, shields that could withstand bombardment from orbital stations. Each ship carried enough firepower to level a small moon. Admiral Krethval, commander of the hegemony security forces, stood on the bridge of his flagship and looked at the human border with satisfaction. He had spent 30 years conquering minor species and suppressing rebellions. He had never lost a battle. The humans were newcomers to the galactic stage. They had technology, yes. They had reputation, certainly. But they had never faced a proper military force. They had only defeated pirates and raiders, not professional soldiers. Open communications, he ordered. Broadcast on all frequencies. His message went out to human space and to every observer vessel from other species that had gathered to watch. The galaxy was paying attention. Everyone wanted to see what would happen when a major corporation challenged humanity directly. Attention, human authorities. This is Admiral Krethval of the Hegemony Corporate Security Fleet. You are harboring a fugitive wanted for crimes against our corporation. You possess stolen property that belongs to us. You have refused legitimate extradition requests and insulted our diplomatic representatives. He paused for effect. We are prepared to take this matter to its logical conclusion. You will surrender the fugitive Valkyra and all data she stole. You will issue a formal apology for your treatment of diplomat Dreth. You will pay compensation for the economic damage your actions have caused. If you refuse, we will enter your territory and take what is ours by force. He smiled at his reflection in the viewport. You have 1 hour to comply. On Station Meridian, Valkyra watched the enemy fleet on a display screen. 50 ships. 50. The entire defensive fleet of her homeworld had only 12 vessels. How could humanity hope to stand against such overwhelming force? Captain Vasquez stood beside her with arms crossed. She did not look worried. She looked almost excited. They really sent 50 ships, Vasquez said. I expected maybe 30. The hegemony must be very afraid of what you carry. You cannot fight 50 warships, Valkyra protested. I have seen the strength of corporate security forces. They have crushed rebellions on a dozen worlds. They are not like pirates or raiders. They are trained soldiers with the best equipment credits can buy. I know. Then why are you smiling? Vasquez turned to look at her. Because they do not know what they are facing. They think we are like other species. They think our reputation comes from luck or exaggeration. They are about to learn otherwise. Admiral Chen's voice came through the station's communication system. All personnel to battle stations. This is not a drill. I repeat, this is not a drill. We have hostile vessels at our border. All defensive systems are now active. Valkyra followed Vasquez to a command center where dozens of humans worked at their stations. Screens covered every wall, showing the positions of hegemony ships, the movements of human vessels, and readings from sensors scattered throughout the sector. What is happening? Valkyra asked. We are responding to their demands, Vasquez replied. On the main screen, a single message was being broadcast from Station Meridian to the hegemony fleet. Attention, hegemony vessels. You have entered human sovereign territory with hostile intent. This is your only warning. Withdraw immediately or face the consequences. There will be no further communication. Admiral Krethval received the message and laughed. That is it? That is their response? One warning and nothing else? His officers laughed with him. They had expected negotiations. They had expected humans to stall for time while they called for help from other species. Instead, the humans had simply told them to leave or die. It was almost insulting. They are bluffing, Krethval decided. They have no choice but to bluff. Our fleet outnumbers anything they could mobilize on short notice. Order all ships to advance. Combat speed. We will teach these Death World primitives what happens when they challenge their betters. The hegemony fleet crossed into human space in perfect formation, 50 warships moving as one, weapons charged and shields at full power. They expected resistance. They expected to fight for every kilometer. What they did not expect was silence. Nothing happened. No weapons fire, no defensive screens, no human vessels rushing to intercept. The border zone was empty. "Where are their defenses?" one of Krethval's officers asked. "They have none," another answered. "Their reputation is a lie. They have been bluffing the entire galaxy for 2 centuries." Krethval was not so certain. He had read reports about Kelvin's reach. He had seen sensor data from that battle, recovered at great expense from the wreckage zone. 200 pirate ships destroyed in 9 minutes. That was not a bluff. That was overwhelming force. "Increase sensor range," he ordered. "Find their weapons platforms. Find their ships. They are hiding somewhere." His sensors found nothing, just empty space and distant stars, and the blue glow of the gas giant that Station Meridian orbited. They were alone in the void with their 50 warships and their corporate arrogance. Then the asteroid field began to move. It was not a real asteroid field. It had looked like one on long-range sensors. Rocks and debris and dust, the natural clutter of any star system. But now those rocks were opening like flowers. Weapons platforms emerged from inside them, bristling with cannons and missile launchers. Dozens of platforms. Hundreds. More than Krethval could count. At the same time, ships appeared where no ships had been before. Human vessels that had been running silent, hidden behind stealth fields so advanced that hegemony sensors had registered them as background radiation. Cruisers and destroyers and frigates surrounding the corporate fleet in a sphere of death. "How many ships?" Krethval demanded. His sensor officer's voice was shaking. "I count over 200 combat vessels, Admiral, plus an estimated 400 weapons platforms. They have us completely surrounded." The humans had been waiting. The humans had been prepared. The entire border zone was a trap, and the hegemony fleet had walked into it like prey into a predator's jaws. Admiral Chen's voice came through on all frequencies. "You were warned." The universe exploded. Human weapons were designed by beings who had evolved on a world of constant violence. They did not waste energy on displays or intimidation. They were built to kill as efficiently as possible. Missiles that could track targets through debris fields. Cannons that could pierce the heaviest armor. Electronic warfare systems that turned enemy sensors into useless static. The first wave of missiles hit the hegemony fleet's outer ships. Shields that were supposed to withstand anything flickered and died under concentrated bombardment. Armor that was supposed to be impenetrable crumpled like paper. 5 ships vanished in the first 10 seconds. Krethval screamed orders. "Return fire. Evasive maneuvers. Concentrate on the nearest human vessels." His ships tried to respond, but the humans were faster. They moved through the battle like dancers, coordinating with impossible precision. Every human ship knew where every other human ship would be. Every weapons platform fired at exactly the right moment to maximize damage. It was not a battle. It was an execution. One by one, hegemony vessels died. Their weapons fire missed or was intercepted. Their shields failed under sustained assault. Their engines were targeted and destroyed, leaving them drifting helplessly while human missiles finished the job. 20 minutes into the battle, 30 ships were gone. Krethval's flagship was damaged. His officers were dead or dying. Alarms screamed throughout the vessel as fire spread through multiple decks. "Admiral," his communications officer called out, "the human commander is hailing us." "Put her through." Admiral Chen's face appeared on his screen. She was calm, unhurried. She might have been discussing routine paperwork instead of the destruction of an entire fleet. "You have lost this battle," she said. "Your remaining ships can withdraw now and survive, or you can continue fighting and die. The choice is yours." Krethval looked at his tactical display. 17 ships remained from his original 50. Most were damaged. All were surrounded. He could keep fighting. He could die with honor. But what would that accomplish? The hegemony had already lost. Further resistance would only mean more death. "All ships retreat," he ordered. "Maximum speed. Get us out of here." The surviving hegemony vessels turned and ran. Human ships pursued them to the border, ensuring they left and did not return. When the last corporate vessel vanished into faster-than-light travel, the humans stopped and held position. The battle was over. It had lasted less than 30 minutes. On Station Meridian, Valkyra watched the final moments with tears streaming down her face. She had seen violence before. She had seen death. But she had never seen anything like this. 50 warships, the pride of a galactic corporation, reduced to debris and survivors in half an hour. "Why?" she whispered. "Why did they think they could win?" Captain Vasquez put a hand on her shoulder. "Because they did not understand us. They saw our small territory and assumed we were weak. They saw our preference for isolation and assumed we were afraid. They did not realize that we have been preparing for this kind of attack for 200 years. Every asteroid in this system hides weapons. Every moon has bunkers. Every human ship is built for war. But you want peace. You told me that humans only want to be left alone. We do want peace, but we know that peace must be defended. The galaxy respects nothing but strength, so we became strong enough that no one would dare threaten us." Vasquez gestured at the screens showing the aftermath of the battle. "This is what we do to those who harm our people. This is why the galaxy fears us. This is why you are safe." Valkyra thought about the hegemony executives who had ordered this attack. They had been so confident. They had been so certain that money and power would triumph over everything. Now their fleet was scattered debris and their reputation was ruined. But would they stop? Would they accept defeat and leave her alone? Or would they find another way to silence her? Far from the battle, in a shattered flagship limping toward home, Admiral Krethval slumped in his command chair and contemplated the end of his career. He had lost 43 ships. He had failed completely. The Hegemony Board of Directors would want someone to blame. He would be that someone. But before he faced that judgment, he had one more card to play. He opened a secure channel to a contact he had cultivated for many years, a bounty hunter named Gorthal. "The corporate fleet failed," Krethval said, "but there may be another way, a quieter way." Gorthal's scarred face appeared on the screen. "I told you not to attack the humans directly. I told you this would happen. Your advice was noted and ignored by others. I am calling because I need something. The refugee Valkyra. She must be silenced before her evidence destroys everything. She is in human space. I cannot reach her. But perhaps you can convince her to come out. Perhaps you can negotiate. You have experience with humans. You know how they think." Gorthal was silent for a long moment. "What exactly are you proposing?" Krethval smiled despite his wounds. "I am proposing that you finish what you started. Find a way to end this. The bounty is doubled. 100 million credits." The channel closed. Krethval leaned back and hoped that one old bounty hunter could accomplish what 50 warships could not. He was about to discover that some hunts end differently than expected. The message arrived at Station Meridian 3 days after the battle. A single ship was requesting permission to enter human space under a flag of parley. The ship belonged to Gorthal the Kreth. Admiral Chen read the request with interest. "He says he wants to speak with us, with the refugee specifically." "It is a trap," one of her aides suggested. "He has been hunting her for 6 months. He wants to finish the job." "Perhaps, but he is asking permission instead of trying to sneak across. He is following our protocols. That suggests he wants something other than violence." Chen turned to Captain Vasquez. "What do you think?" Vasquez considered the question carefully. "Gorthal is one of the most successful bounty hunters in the galaxy. He does not make foolish decisions. If he wanted to kill Valkyra, he would not announce his presence. I think we should hear what he has to say. Very well, grant him entry. One ship only. Escort him to the station under guard. We will meet with him in a secure location." The meeting room was bare and gray, designed for difficult conversations. Valkyra sat at one end of a long table with Admiral Chen and Captain Vasquez beside her. Armed guards lined the walls. At the other end of the table, Gorthal waited in silence. He looked different than she remembered. During the chase, she had only seen him on communication screens, always confident and predatory. Now he seemed tired, old. The scars on his face told stories of a lifetime of violence, but his eyes held something unexpected. Something almost like regret. You requested this meeting, Admiral Chen said. Speak. Gorthal nodded slowly. The bounty on Valkyra is officially withdrawn. The Hegemony Corporation is collapsing. Their stock has lost 80% of its value since the battle. Their executives are being arrested by the dozen as other governments act on the evidence she provided. They no longer have resources to pay bounties. Then why are you here? To apologize. He looked directly at Valkyra. I chased you for 6 months. I forced you to run. I made your life a nightmare, and you did not deserve any of it. You were trying to do the right thing, and I hunted you like an animal. Valkyra did not know how to respond. This was the last thing she had expected from the hunter who had pursued her across 9 star systems. You had opportunities to catch me, she said slowly. Several times you were close enough to intercept my ship, but you always seemed to fall behind at the crucial moment. Was that intentional? Gorthal's expression shifted slightly. Something like shame crossed his face. I knew what you were carrying. I intercepted some of your communications early in the chase. I read fragments of the evidence you had stolen. I knew the hegemony was guilty of terrible crimes. Then why did you keep hunting me? Because I am a coward. He said the words without self-pity, just simple truth. I have been a bounty hunter for 60 years. It is all I know. I told myself that I was just doing a job. I told myself that someone else would catch you if I did not. I told myself that your fate was not my responsibility. He paused and took a breath. But I also slowed down when I could. I let you escape when I could. I gave you time to reach human space because I hoped you would make it. I was too afraid to help you directly, but I was not willing to stop you either. Admiral Chen leaned forward. Why are you telling us this now? Because after the battle, Krethval contacted me. He offered me 100 million credits to find a way to silence Valkyra. He wanted me to negotiate with the humans, to find some trick or scheme that would let him finish what the fleet could not. And, Gorthal smiled, and for the first time it was a genuine expression. I told him to go to hell. Then I destroyed every file I had on Valkyra, every tracking algorithm, every contact database, everything that could be used to hurt her. He reached into his coat and produced a small device. He placed it on the table and slid it toward Admiral Chen. That contains everything I know about hegemony operations, criminal networks, corporate secrets, illegal facilities that even Valkyra did not find. It is my payment for the crimes I committed in their service. Admiral Chen examined the device without touching it. This is valuable information, but it does not erase what you did. I know. I am not asking for forgiveness. I am asking for a chance to make amends. Gorthal straightened in his seat. I want asylum in human space. I want to use my skills for something other than hunting desperate people for money. I want to spend whatever years I have left doing good instead of evil. The room was silent. Valkyra looked at the hunter who had terrorized her for months and saw something she had not expected. She saw a broken man trying to piece himself back together. I believe him, she said quietly. Admiral Chen turned to her. You would advocate for the man who hunted you? He could have caught me many times. He chose not to. He gave me the chance to reach safety, even though it cost him the bounty. And now he is offering valuable intelligence when he could have sold it to someone else. Valkyra met Gorthal's eyes. He made mistakes. He was weak, but he is trying to be better. Is that not worth something? Admiral Chen considered for a long moment. Human space offers protection to those who seek it honestly. That has always been our policy. She looked at Gorthal. You will be watched. Your movements will be tracked. If you betray our trust, the consequences will be severe. I understand. Your information will be examined. If it proves useful, you will be offered a position with our intelligence services. You know the criminal underworld better than almost anyone. Those skills could help us find and stop others like the hegemony. Gorthal bowed his head. Thank you, Admiral. I will not disappoint you. The meeting ended. Guards escorted Gorthal to secure quarters where he would remain until his information was verified. Valkyra walked back to her own rooms with Captain Vasquez beside her. You surprised me, Vasquez said. I expected you to want revenge. You had every right to demand punishment for him. Valkyra shook her head. Revenge would not undo what happened. It would not bring back the months I spent running. It would not heal my wounds or erase my fear. But giving him a chance to change might actually make the galaxy a little bit better. She stopped at a window that looked out on the station's docking bays. Ships were coming and going constantly now. More ships than she had seen since the battle. Many of them were small and worn, the vessels of refugees and asylum seekers. "What is happening?" she asked. Vasquez stood beside her and watched the arriving ships. "Word is spreading. The galaxy is learning what happened here. They are learning that the hegemony's fleet was destroyed. They are learning that humanity protects those who seek shelter honestly. And they are coming. So many of them. There are many people in the galaxy who need protection. Many people with nowhere else to go. The major powers exploit the weak. Corporations treat beings like property. Entire species are trapped in systems that crush anyone who speaks against injustice." Vasquez turned to look at her. "You showed them that there is another way. You showed them that one person with courage can change everything." Valkyra watched a battered transport ship land in one of the docking bays. Figures emerged, aliens from a dozen different species, carrying children and belongings and hope. They had come to human space because they had heard the stories. They had come because they believed that humans would help them. What will happen to them all? They will be processed, interviewed, given food and shelter and medical care. Those who seek asylum honestly will receive it. Those who have information about crimes will be protected. Those who have skills to offer will be given opportunities to use them. And those who try to exploit human generosity? Vasquez's smile turned sharp. They will learn the same lesson that the hegemony learned. We are generous to those who deserve generosity. We are ruthless to those who try to take advantage. There is no middle ground with humanity. Valkyra nodded slowly. She understood now why humans had built their reputation the way they had. It was not cruelty that drove them. It was clarity. They had rules and they enforced them without exception. They offered mercy to the weak and destruction to the cruel. In a galaxy full of shades of gray, humans were absolute. "I want to help," she said suddenly. "Help?" "With the refugees, with the investigations, with everything." Valkyra turned to face Vasquez directly. "I spent 15 years working for evil without knowing it. Then I spent 6 months running from the consequences of exposing that evil. I do not want to run anymore. I do not want to hide. I want to use what I know to help others." Vasquez smiled. "We were hoping you would say that. Admiral Chen has already prepared an offer. She wants you to serve as a consultant for our intelligence services. You know how corporations hide their crimes. You know how to find evidence that others miss. You know how to recognize evil when everyone around you is pretending not to see it. I accept." "Good. You will start tomorrow. There is much work to do." That night, Valkyra stood at the window of her quarters and watched the stars. Somewhere out there, hegemony executives were being arrested. Somewhere out there, hidden laboratories were being shut down. Somewhere out there, victims were being rescued and secrets were being exposed. She had started something when she ran. She had started a wave that was still spreading across the galaxy. Now she would see it through to the end. Far below, in a quiet corridor of the station, Gorthal met with a human officer for his first debriefing. He began to share everything he knew about criminal networks and corporate crimes and the dark corners of the galaxy where powerful beings committed atrocities without consequence. He had been a hunter his entire life. Now he would hunt for a different purpose. At the edge of human space, a small ship approached the border. Its pilot was an alien from a species that had been enslaved by another corporation. She had evidence of crimes. She had nowhere else to go. She had heard rumors of a place where the helpless could find safety. The automated warning played across her communication system. "Attention, unidentified vessel. You are approaching human sovereign territory. State your intentions immediately." She responded with a single word. "Asylum. Proceed to Station Meridian. You will be escorted by patrol vessels. Welcome to human space." The pilot began to cry. She had traveled for weeks to reach this place. She had risked everything on stories and rumors and hope. And now she was safe. The patrol ships arrived to escort her in. They were weapons of war, designed to destroy enemies and defend borders. But tonight they were guardians, protecting a frightened refugee on her journey to sanctuary. This was humanity, not monsters, not killers. Just beings who remembered what it was like to be alone and afraid, and who had decided that no one else should ever feel that way if they could help it. The stars burned cold and bright in the eternal dark. Ships came and went. Lives were changed. And the galaxy slowly learned that the most frightening thing about humans was not their capacity for destruction, it was their capacity for hope.